So Nate, are you ready to talk about Conor McGregor's bare ass?
Oh, you bet I am.
I'm steady trying to find the motive. Why do what I do? And the freedom ain't.
Roadhouse is directed by Doug Liman and is a remake of the 1989 film starring Patrick Swayze. This time, we got Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead and a very special guest,
Very special.
the notorious Conor McGregor.
The notorious Conor.
The original Roadhouse has a very dedicated fan base, and so going into this, I think that there's going to be a predisposed disliking for this movie.
There's going to be a lot of haters.
There's a lot that they change in this movie that people aren't going to get on board with, and that's something that with a lot of remakes and reboots, that's just going to be an inherent thing here.
Mm-hmm.
These are very different movies. A lot has changed for action movies since then.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 89, it was sort of like a tough guy, rowdy action film.
Lots of karate.
A lot of karate and martial arts. And
Yeah.
since then, we've sort of progressed to a different sort of action movie style.
Nowadays with action movies too, there's this sense that the camera is a part of the action.
Yes.
Because the camera movement has also improved.
Yeah.
So the camera movement kind of goes with the action.
So in the original Roadhouse, it's just shots of Patrick Swayze doing karate on people. But
Yeah.
in here, there's a lot of camera movement, and that sort of reflects the modern action film state. And sort of I can appreciate this film for that, for being a staple of this generation's
Yeah.
type of action.
The camera movement in this was crazy during the fight scenes. There were some times where the camera was just spinning around
Yeah.
whoever was fighting. And that was really
Yeah.
cool. Because, that stuff you can't do.
Yeah.
There's some points where it looked a little bit weird. It's not bad,
Yeah.
but it's uncanny enough to, take you out of it a little bit. But like we said, this movie is kind of a amalgamation of, modern action takes.
Yeah.
And so it kind of felt like it belonged in there.
They've changed a lot. They've
Yeah,
changed a lot. They've completely removed
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
Yeah,
They've removed
he's-
certain characters. Sam Elliott's character in the original has
Gone.
no role in this. There is no Sam Elliott. They changed the romance around a lot. They
Yeah.
changed so much, and to some people that's going to be an instant turnoff.
It is going to piss a lot of people off,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
That's not, because a lot of people want to see the original, but modern, and I totally understand that.
But here's the comment that I made to Nate as soon as the credits rolled. I feel like if it wasn't branded as Roadhouse, it would be a very well-received action movie.
Yes.
Because it was entertaining as hell. It was so
Yes.
fun. It was actually a very fun movie, which was weird because, definitely with these types of movies, people gauge it by how close it is to the original.
Yeah, and that's something that I did want to highlight was this is the sort of remake that I like, where they go for the story, like the basic story, which is a guy goes to become a bouncer at a rowdy bar.
Yeah.
And he meets all these, interesting people. He falls in love with a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the basic outline. But everything else is different. Not even the characters' names are the same.
Yeah. He
So
fights against
Yeah.
a shady crime syndicate.
Yeah, and so by that sort of way, I like those remakes that aren't afraid to be this isn't the same character because we're not trying to make that character again. We can't recapture the magic that Patrick Swayze brought to the original. So we're going to make another character whose last name is Dalton, but he's not the same at all. But I think what really makes this interesting is just how much they changed. If you can process that, you'll be more willing to accept this movie. So one of the big draws of this remake was they're implementing the UFC. Something they did, which is going to hook a lot of people in, is they got a UFC fighter.
The
to star in this
Mr.
movie.
UFC.
The Mr. UFC, Mr. Conor McGregor,
Conor.
the Notorious.
Yes, amazing.
And I truly don't know if that was the worst acting performance I've ever seen or if that's just the best acting performance
It
I've
was
ever seen.
one of the acting performances
was
of all time.
Pure Conor McGregor. That's about his...
It's the only acting performance I think I laughed every time he was on screen.
I don't think they gave him a script. I think they just told Conor McGregor to be himself.
I cannot stress enough. He was so good.
Yeah.
It kind of left me at a loss for words.
I really don't know what to say because he's just doing stuff and being crazy, and honestly, he has a presence in this movie that anytime he's on a screen, you're like, oh man,
You know it's going to be
something's
good.
gonna happen.
Every time he opens his mouth, it's going to be good.
He's crazy. and he's basically just himself in real life.
Yeah, and what we said in the
Yeah.
beginning is not bait. You do see his bare ass. That's
Twice.
actually how you. Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
That's how you meet him. You meet
Yeah.
his
You
asshole.
meet his ass, and it's a great opening.
It's great. His
Yeah.
character, it's really funny.
Yeah.
You could do a drinking game based off of how many times his character smiles.
Yeah.
And he's got this.
Don't do
this-
that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Then
Those-
you will get alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, but it's my point is his character is such like a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
He's
And-
truly unhinged. He's just doing stuff to do stuff, and I love that. It makes this movie really campy because it starts off kind of realistic
Yeah.
in a way, and I was kind of concerned. I was like, oh,
I
don't know
it
if
was
that's gonna
seeming,
work.
Like gritty and grounded.
yeah. And then it slowly built up to it. It slowly
Yeah.
built up the action, and I was like, okay, I see where it's going.
Mhm.
And then as soon as Conor McGregor enters the fray, it's a switch. One of the comments I made is this felt like a GTA movie.
Yeah, yeah. And, like the characters started
Yeah.
feeling like GTA characters.
Yeah, as soon as that happens, all the characters take a turn, and I think that once that happens, this movie really started. Like I was engaged, I was fully hooked.
Yeah.
So the villain in this is very different from the original. Like they keep the same sort of motive, but in this they go for the spoiled rich kid
Yeah.
with a daddy's trust fund. He's in
Yeah.
jail, and it's so perfect for a movie that takes place in Florida to
Mhm.
make all these Floridian changes.
Yeah, have
To it.
this trust fund baby.
Yeah, they really went for like a frat guy as the villain, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
What I love is that, like I was saying, they took it serious kind of at the start, but as soon
Mhm.
as like they get the ball rolling, these characters are talking so funny.
Yeah.
They're
It loosens
talking
up.
in
It
a good
loosens
way,
up
in a good
lot.
way, because they're not. It's not like the script is bad and they're talking funny. It's like they're supposed to be funny.
Yeah. In the same way that there was the funny one-liners
Yeah.
in the first one.
And he's just throwing all these funny lines out, and I thought that was just a nice way to just get modern audiences attached, is sort of having that GTA type humor.
Jake Gyllenhaal will crack lines
Yeah.
mid-fight scene.
Yeah,
He'll
Jake
crack
Gyllenhaal,
jokes.
and they're not like corny like MCU like one-liners.
No, they get you.
These
They're
are pretty
funny.
funny.
They're
pretty
really
witty.
funny lines. Yeah.
Because like it's not random. It's really good. The
Yeah.
humor in this feels very deliberate, which
Yeah.
I liked. There was also the romance that changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was still a
It's-
doctor lady.
It's still a doctor,
but that's where the similarities end.
she doesn't really play a role in this movie as much as the original,
Yeah, other than being related to the
Yeah.
bad guy.
which I thought worked for this movie. I didn't think it needed like a romance subplot, and it's a good thing that they didn't add it in, because I think
It helped with the ending
Yeah.
because it made the ending a little bit more emotional.
yeah,
But that was it.
it makes there's less strings attached in this one.
Yeah.
And I think that fits for Jake Gyllenhaal's version of Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of less of like a Patrick Swayze, like, sleazy type. Jake Gyllenhaal in this is sort of more of a witty, like very sarcastic
Yeah.
douche. Like I think like
Bitterly sarcastic.
Yeah.
Like super bitter.
he's very critical on himself too.
Mhm. Yes.
He's a very different character, and I think, like I said, that fits for the modern retelling. And I guess we can sort of piggyback off of that. Jake Gyllenhaal's great. When I was watching the original Roadhouse, I kept thinking, this is a good role for Jake Gyllenhaal to
Yeah.
pick up. This is something that I think he could easily blend into, and I was right. He does great.
Yeah, he really did.
He doesn't try to succeed Patrick Swayze.
Mm-mm.
He does his own thing. And
He doesn't try to
I think
copy
it's
him
great.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that this movie does, is it doesn't try to copy the original at
Mhm.
all. That's the thing we keep bringing up, but it's very different. Doesn't try to be the original, and I think that's great. So the new Roadhouse is very different.
Very.
Very different. Like we've been saying this whole review, it's gonna divide audiences.
Yeah.
But in my eyes, this was a worthy remake. It made sense, and this is sort of my gauge for remakes. Can I watch both of them?
Mm.
Can I watch both of them and feel different about it? One of the things with a lot of remakes, specifically one that a lot of people bring up, is The Lion King.
The
Is
Lion
that
King,
sort
yeah.
of just the same movie, but with realistic lines, and people don't like that because there's the original.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you want to watch the remake when the original is great?
In
This, you can watch both of these independently, and I think you get a different thing from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this does really good. There's great action. It's very funny. I could see myself watching this again. I don't think it's as good. I don't think it's as solid as the original Roadhouse, but I'm willing to give the remake of Roadhouse a 7.5. The script takes a while to get going, but once it gets going, it's great. It's great. I had a fun time. I could easily see myself just watching this for fun. And I think that that's what this movie needed to do, because that's what the original is. It's fun.
Yeah, it's just fun.
You know, and so we don't get a lot of, martial arts action films anymore. And this sort of scratches that itch for me.
Yeah, it was a very fun action movie. With this one, because they leaned into stylizing it around modern audiences, it stands alone from the original one, with still hitting the same beats and notes as the original. And it's really a good example of, Hollywood has been doing more and more reboots despite what people ask them when people ask them not to. And this is, if they're going to do it, this is the kind of the direction that they should go with it.
This would be the way you should go with a remake, I think.
So I'm going to rate it pretty highly. It's not a 4 out of 5 for me, but it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me. The first one has to be a 4 out of 5 to a perfect 5. It's such a good action movie. It's such a cornerstone of action movies. And this one is good too. And I think this one is going to age very well as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I do want to say it's kind of a shame that this didn't release in theaters. I think this would have done really well.
This would have done really well.
I think this would have done really well.
Can you imagine people wearing beachwear to go see
Roadhouse?
The Roadhouse? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we wore our beachwear.
Whether or not this movie does great is sort of up in the air because it's a streaming movie.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna like it. It had a lot of traction leading up to it.
It deserves a watch.
Yeah, it deserves a watch. I would definitely recommend watching this movie because I think you're gonna get just a fun blast out of it.
It's very fun.
So that's our thoughts on the new Roadhouse. Have you seen it? If you have, let us know what you think in the comments down below. And hey, if you want to see our thoughts on other movies, our latest review for Dune 2 is up. Check that out. So yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.